of ceremonies today for the 8th annual Aggie Shark Tank, brought to you by the Hunt Center for Entrepreneurship here at New Mexico State University's Arrowhead Center. Now, Shark Tank brings together student entrepreneurs from the Borderplex region of southern New Mexico, West Texas, northern Chihuahua, Mexico, people with big ideas, and a panel of shark judges, folks with deep experience and an even deeper passion to see new businesses grow and thrive. Now, before we begin, I want to ask you, please turn off or silence your cell phones. You will need them later, don't worry. Also, we want to take a moment to recognize the original sharks here with us this afternoon. These are the people that joined us at the very first Shark Tank in 2015. It's starting to feel further and further away. If you would, please stand as I call your name and remain standing until all are mentioned, because today we have Lou Cisparo with us, President and Dealer Principal of Cisparo Dealerships. I believe you're over there, Lou. Good to see you again. A New Jersey native, Lou came to New Mexico from Michigan to escape, quote, the snowy winters of the Rust Belt. The Cisparo family made an immediate impact on Las Cruces, from supporting New Mexico State University and NMSU athletics to countless good causes and events for the entire Las Cruces community. It was Lou's love of the TV show Shark Tank that planted the seed for Arrowhead to start our own Aggie Shark Tank back in 2015. Also, Royal Jones is here. I cannot express how difficult it is to see with this light. Royal, wherever you are. Royal, the Chief Executive Officer and President of Mesilla Valley Transportation, which is one of the largest trucking companies in the Southwest that employs over 2,000 people, while being a leader in environmentally friendly operations. Royal has served as a guest speaker and mentor for the Chamber of Commerce's Las Cruces Young Professionals and is an active member of the Borderplex Alliance, which focuses on regional economic development. Also, Dino Cervantes. Thank you for being close enough I can see. Hi, Dino. Managing Vice President at Cervantes Enterprises, Dino is also the General Manager at Cervantes Agribusiness, as well as a Regional Advisor of New Mexico Community Capital, LLC. His organization affiliations include serving as the Vice President at the New Mexico Chili Association and the President at the Chili Pepper Task Force. Mr. Cervantes, I'm also told that you serve on the New Mexico Chihuahua Commission of Economic Development and the Las Cruces Business Forum. That's quite the resume. In 2020, he was also inducted into the NMSU's Entrepreneur Hall of Fame, which I remember that. I was there for that. And Mickey Clute, president of GenCon Corp., one of our original sharks, could not be with us this evening, but he is a great supporter of NMSU and our community. So one more time, please give all of our original sharks a round of applause. All right. Now we also want to recognize the executive university leaders that are here with us, and they're just great supporters of our entrepreneurship programs, things like the entrepreneurs we're here supporting today. Special thanks to Matt Hunt of the Hunt Family Foundation. Thank you so much. NMSU Regent Amu Devastali. NMSU Chancellor Dr. Jay Gooch. And President of the University of Texas at El Paso, Heather Wilson. All right, we already met one shark. Let's meet the rest. First, we want to welcome Dr. Beto Payeras. Good to see you again, Beto. Now, Beto has been associated with the Arrowhead Center for many years, and he's a Kauffman Fellow. Beto also serves as Arrowhead's current investor in residence. guiding clients through the complex world of early stage investment. We're grateful to have him here at Aggie Shark Tank today. Good to see you, Beto. All right, next up, let's welcome Isaac Romo, a New Mexico State University senior majoring in economics. Isaac is a self-made entrepreneur who is very passionate about startups and venture capital. This led him to joining and representing the team at Campus Founders Fund as a scout. Isaac is responsible for finding student-started and run companies in need of funding and guidance in their business journeys. And I think you might find a few here today.
That's the plan.
We also want to welcome Angelica Maestas. A three-time founder and health tech entrepreneur, Angelica has more than 15 years of experience in business development, operations, analytics, and leadership. She founded Health Tech RX, which is an organization that empowers health tech startups to scale their products. Angelica is also a champion for empowering women to excel in leadership roles and as entrepreneurs. Thanks for being with us. And our final shark, Alejandro Munoz. An experienced executive, Alejandro is currently managing director of No Border Ventures, which is a VC fund based in El Paso, Texas. His previous roles include being the CFO of Higo Sammy, Deputy Strategy Director at Grupo Mexico Transports, Senior Strategy Associate at Bloomberg LP, and Analyst in JP Morgan's Investment Bank. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Excited.
All right. Now, there are rules we need to go over before we begin. Aggie Shark Tank is an educational endeavor. It's designed to promote the innovative talent of our region. While those pitching, they are here, they are providing details of a business idea that they would like to fund, but this is no way a general solicitation for investment. No one here in the audience today will be solicited for investments in any way. The sharks on stage are all accredited investors, and should they decide to pursue investment discussions further, the investment is subject to their due diligence. Each entrepreneur or team today will get 5 minutes to pitch their idea to our wonderful sharks and to you, our audience. Then the sharks, you're going to have 10 minutes, to chew it over, ask them some questions, discuss potential deals for support. And in addition to any investment from our sharks, there will be a Shark Favorite Award of $5,000, sponsored by the Hunt Center for Entrepreneurship. In addition to the Shark Favorite Award, there will be a Crowd Favorite Prize of $1,000. That's where your phones come in. You get to be a part of this. You, the audience, will be choosing the crowd favorite, so be sure to stay for a quick vote after all the presenters wrap up, and that is also sponsored by the Hunt Center for Entrepreneurship. All right. Now, let's take a look at the journey our participants went through before joining Aggie Shark Tank. Please watch the screen, and I will get out of the way. Now, please help me by putting your hands together and welcoming our first participant, NMSU alumni Miguel Rico, founder of Tattoo Inc.
Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Fantastic. My name is Miguel Rico. I'm CEO and founder of Tattoo Inc. Sharks, welcome. And I want to start off by saying, what is a tattoo? So a tattoo is the physical practice of injecting a needle into somebody's body, injecting the tattoo ink, whether it's black or multicolored, and 36% of Americans have tattoos, which is roughly about 120 million. And 70% of these tattoos end up becoming a commemoration for a special moment in someone's life. And I'm talking about the loss of a loved one, the birth of a beautiful child, and a special memento in someone's life. And the current process takes very long. It's lengthy, very confusing, and all of the roads end up leading to uncertainty. And what I mean by that is there's hundreds of genres. There's multiple options that you could go through. There's many roads, many choices, and with multiple considerations to go through. There's many artists in the area alone. And yes, tattoo removal is an option, but it is going to cost you from about $200 to $500 a session. And that's not even covering the tattoo that you just got. And that is why trust becomes the #1 reason why people choose whether or not to get a tattoo. And believe me, guys, trust goes a very, very long way. Because these tattoos becoming a permanent commitment, these stay on your body forever. So if I were to turn around and look at these, imagine paying $500 for a Ryan Gosling tattoo just for it to look like Justin Bieber. You wanted a portrait of your dog, and you get a nice-looking doormat. Were you brawn to die? Or were you daddy's angle? Or have you ever gotten a portrait of your child and you get the preview to a Chucky movie? And that's where we come in, because we've designed an application that streamlines the process of getting a tattoo by pairing customers with licensed professional artists that best fit their needs. And you're probably wondering, how would this work? So as the customer, you join in, select your preferences, whether it's skin type, skin color, preferences as you're very sensitive to the needle. It ranges, multiplies, and you get a list of those licensed artists that fit that preference. And all you have to do is connect, get scheduled, and get that tattoo. So the benefits, you're going to get a tattoo as far and wide that your mind can possibly think. You're going to be saving a lot of time. And like I said before, you're not going to get those horrible tattoos that I just presented to you earlier. And this is going to make your experience a whole lot better. And you're probably wondering, how am I going to make money off of this? So we're going to be charging an artist subscription of $15 a month and a sales commission of 10% per tattoo as the artist goes along the way. And currently, I have 116 artists already subscribed, 9 shops in the area already on a wait list, and as of last year, I'm FinTech's competition winner with this application. And with the market size, it's constantly growing annually at 7%, and as of last year, the tattoo market generated about $1.5 billion in revenue. And that is why I'm going to be asking for $100,000 for 15% equity in my business, because I need to acquire a software developer that full stacks and generates the application that I'm going to need for today. Thank you so much, Sharks, and thank you, everybody, for your time. That's all I have for today.
Exciting. I think you have, you could say a whale of opportunity here. It's a big market.
Thank you.
Just curious, does ink on a tattoo change the taste of human flesh? Just asking for a friend.
I'm not a sharky yet, but eventually I'll let you know about that.
Well, Sharks, Mr. Rico's presented an interesting opportunity here. At $100,000 investment for 15%, it's roughly a $667,000 valuation on the company. But why don't we kick it off and have a discussion of what do you think about this Thumbs down or thumbs up? Is it awesome, jawsome, fantastic?
I'd like to kick it off here, and if you could tell us a little bit more about that valuation. I think that, if I'm being quite honest, looking at the market, looking at the size of potential customers that you can look at this, it's small. I mean, how did you come up with that valuation?
So currently, tattoo artists are going the route of pen and paper. And when you come to schedule a tattoo, they end up losing the scheduling. It gets fumbled around, they lose everything. And a market this big, as in like Ink Masters, something that they're transferring onto shows, something they're making bigger, this tattoo market's constantly growing and it's becoming more accepted. Teachers are more allowed to have a tattoo. It's more accepted in the job form. And it's constantly growing, and there's tattoo applications that are growing rapidly. And the way that I see my application, I see it as a very big opportunity to end up growing along with them.
How are you vetting the artists that are participating? Is there a vetting process for them, or can anyone sign up?
So the artists can sign up, but they have to be licensed. So when an artist goes through the process of getting licensed, they are taken through the hours, the healthcare that comes with getting a tattoo, how they train somebody, and everything that goes into that ends up becoming something that's really important because you're dealing with somebody's skin, somebody's body, so they can end up losing a body part if something wrong goes wrong.
Is there any risk or concerns over minors signing up to use the app?
So minors and everything, when you get scheduled, you get to pay for everything there, but it gets verified through the application. So you're not gonna go through the whole process just to pay something that you're not gonna be allowed to get. And there's an age limit, there's licensing that you do need to post as an artist as well. If you're not licensed, you're not gonna be able to be on the application. And if you're not fitting the age limit, you're also not gonna be allowed on there as well.
So I have a little bit of a question.
Yeah, of course.
Have you spoken, or what have the artists themselves told you about receiving a 10% pay cut to their artwork?
So, I am a tattoo artist, so I do need to disclose that. But currently, every now and then, you have to rent out a seat if you want to work in a shop. So the owner ends up taking a small portion out as you go through the tattoo, a small portion, which would be like a commission for the tattoo. That would be basically how they make their money, but the commission part is just to make sure that everything's logged. So the commission is gonna boost the sales eventually, but that's more of just like a safety feature. So if somebody ends up canceling or something, there's already a deposit made, and the commission that you get out of it is basically just what keeps you afloat.
Actually, I find that you might have an interesting, business model here. This is very akin to Fiverr, in terms of having,
Right.
Contracting out like solutions and designs.
Yes, sir.
I find that this might be an interesting opportunity for you to, try to collaborate with designers that are in there as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I've reached out to multiple applications, and I'm trying to see what we could do as a collaboration. There's a lot of people that are really excited for this, shops included. Everyone's ready to jump on this as an opportunity. Investment-wise, we'll get there down the road.
And just about we're talking about valuation, but what does that 100K help you do? What do you plan on using that money for?
So currently I'm in the works with making a deal, solidifying a deal with the software developers. They are gonna help me make this application a reality. Currently it's a dream and I have the blueprint. I need somebody that's gonna help me build this from the ground up with a solid foundation.
And they've quoted you $150 for the development?
Currently we're working out a deal. I'm trying to get a software developer on my team instead of just getting a product and they leave. I'm trying to make sure that I have somebody on my team that's 24/7 available to work on this application in case anything fails. I like to have a safety net with everything, so if anything happens, I need him on the phone.
You're going to let someone take a bite out of the deal before the sharks do?
We're making a deal, so it might be a big bite, it might be a tiny bite, but it's coming.
Do you have any shark tattoos on you?
Shark tattoos? I might after this. I
Okay,
definitely might.
Okay, well, I like that. really interesting. There's a lot you can do here. I mean, there's a wide ocean of opportunities. I mean, you could start listing whether someone got certified, recertified, what their health rating might be, whether there's been any complaints and so on and so forth. So it could be a really unique platform. There's analogs to that, say with barbershops that you could book stuff, you could, go back, you get discounts and whatnot. I was told by a tattoo artist that once you get one tattoo that
You
it's
can't
hard
stop.
to say
Yes,
no
sir. No,
more.
yeah. And it's a big market. It's a big availability, It's something that scares a lot of people, and that's why I mentioned trust, because a lot of people don't get a tattoo because of the trust. They don't know where to go and where to start.
Yeah.
It starts with a Google search, and you end with a headache because I don't even know where to go. When I started off Google searching. I did YouTube videos. I reached out to people. I even went down to the shop, and they just said, no, man, we can't show you unless you pay. And everything costs money, so I ended up digging myself and finding this investment.
Well, super interesting what you're working on. I'm not an expert on tattoos or that market, but I gotta believe there's others providing similar or somewhat similar applications. Have you taken a deep dive into that?
Yes, I've done a deep dive. I've interviewed this application that fully does the payment process of a tattoo. So you already have the idea, you submit it to the artist, and you could pay over your phone. Once you pay over your phone, you just show up, get tattooed, and you're out the door already. So we're making in the works, talking. I was really glad to get the interview with them, and they let me inside a lot of knowledge, and they showed me a lot of things by showing us how artists can compete with each other on a review basis. So when they do get a tattoo, there's a 5-star review that comes afterwards or a 4-star review that comes afterwards. And it really dictates how people get a tattoo, because there's a 4.7-star artist out there that does immaculate work, and there's a 5-star artist out there that probably only got 1 review and he does really bad work. So what I really want to focus on is really giving the artists the exposure that they need so that they can further excel their business.
Sharks, anybody want to take a nibble or a bite at this?
Tattooing is not my industry, but I will say I do have a lot of question marks around, so the subscribers are the artists themselves,
Yes, ma'am.
and how many of those businesses pop up, and then how long do they last?
So tattoo businesses themselves, like the corporate, so they usually start off really small, and that's why there's a lot of shops that end up not launching so big, because they start small and they stay there. And the reason that they're kind of blowing up and they don't really close down is that they charge really big prices. And for me, if you're paying a lot of money, you should get something that's worth that money. So when I did the interviews and stuff, a lot of these shops are family owned. They're friendly owned, so it's a friend and a friend investing in something. And I believe there's a tattoo shop here called Irish Ink, and it was family owned, and they just said that their struggles was adding an application to their shop that charges them so much money. And then they end up struggling down the road, and the application doesn't end up working because it's faulty, it's not working, or it's just not giving them the service that they need.
Have you thought about having a co-founder, a technical co-founder that can, that way you can save those 100K?
Last year I did have a co-founder. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it. She really didn't fit in the business aspect, so she ended up backing out. But I'm still in the works. I'm networking with a lot of people. There's a lot of wonderful people here today that came to see and support. And eventually I will secure a deal to get a co-founder for my application.
I think you and I are on the same page, because that cost seems too much to develop it, and so I'd be happy to facilitate connections to other developers.
Yeah,
And maybe there might be a lower cost route for that.
And it's not going to be for like one single developer, of course. It's going to be like a whole team. I do need to develop a team where it's customer service as well, and we're really reviewing what's going to come into our application. And I graduated with my advertising, marketing, and managing degree. So I kind of know the ins and outs of the business market, but when it comes to programming, I'm kind of lost.
I'd love to continue the conversation, once you have a product going.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely think that a lot of interesting things can come about that.
Sweet, fantastic. Thank you, guys.
Isaac, any bite at this?
Just in regards to paying developers, are you yourself taking a salary? Are you paying yourself a salary at all, or?
Currently, no. I'm not going to be taking a salary because I really want to dig into this. This is something that I'm passionate about. I tattoo people, so I know how important it is for somebody to leave the door happy. When it comes to this business, I want it to take off the ground. I'm not going to be taking a salary out of myself for a long while until this hits the road because I feel like this is more important than making money because this is going to help out the tattoo industry, not just myself.
For me, this is a different kind of bite. I agree. There's a lot to be said for having a co-founder that can help you swim faster in the lane of developing the product. But I have no idea what the exit environment would be for this, right? How do you surface this up and essentially showcase something, that someone wants to acquire post-launch? So I'd have to chew on it a lot longer. Happy to stay in touch and reconnect and think about other ways we could be helpful.
Yeah, of course. And I've been conversing with that tattoo application I did mention when it came to the payments and everything. And their biggest thing is acquisition. Currently, they are based off of Denmark. And then there's another one that's based off in the UK. So they're coming to the United States because of the big market opportunity. And the Denmark one is based off in California, and the other one is based off in Florida. So the biggest thing is getting the middle part of the United States. Basically what I'm doing is covering the ground and making my mark before anybody else does. And if I do end up being acquired down the road, it's going to be by one of them because they're going to be wanting to take over that market as well.
Great. Love that you're thinking about that.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Miguel.
Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you guys so much.
Much
for your time.
appreciated. Let's hear it for him. Thanks again, Miguel. All right. Next up, we have UTEP undergraduate student Sebastian Delgado, founder of Doski Design Studios.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so we're ready. Initially, I came up with the idea of Doski Design Studio while I was crossing the Juarez and El Paso Bridge, right? Initially, I wanted to create an idea where I could talk about the shoes that immigrants would wear and talk a little bit about their journey, all the things that they have to face from their respective countries. But because of school and life in general, I wasn't really able to complete this project. But an important thing came about this. The idea of creating a shoe with a meaning stayed deeply rooted in my heart. And I wanted to create something that had a meaning for every single step I would take. And while I was researching on what could be the different competitive advantages that I could utilize to break through in the footwear industry, I came upon that there's 300 million pairs of shoes that are thrown into the landfills every single year in the United States. And only 5% of those are actually recycled. And to add a little bit of salt into the wound, 60 million shoes are produced worldwide every single day. We're talking an average of 3.2 trillion shoes that are made every single year. If we take a little bit of moment and analyze, what's going to happen to those shoes once they go out, right? It takes an average of 50 years for a shoe to decompose. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows these companies. I mean, we could say they're the top dogs, or in this case, the top sharks, right, of the industry. And they've made some advances in the industry where they made sustainable campaigns, but I don't think that's enough. And that's where Doski Design Studio steps in, by providing a unique, one-of-a-kind pair of shoes that's made out of upcycled leather, giving a new whole meaning to the overproduction of monotonous and repetitive sneakers. I'm gonna break down on how we make our shoes. So first, we start by recollecting secondhand shoes. We later deconstruct them and then sew them all together to make a new sheet of leather. Once that sheet of leather is complete, we can use that to create a new shoe, which is the end product being a shoe made out of different parts of other shoe. Our first launch is expected to be on May 2024 with a limited quantity of 25 pairs of shoes. The customer will be able to order our shoes through our website through a just-in-time inventory. We are expecting to give a 3-month delivery date for our shoes since they are handmade, and 2 color schemes will be available, black and white. In terms of the footwear industry, the sustainable footwear market is expected to be valued in $13.3 billion as of 2030. Currently is valued at $7.7 billion, and the footwear niche that I want to focus on is the fashion footwear, which is the second most popular customer segment after casual wear. But how am I gonna get there, right? Here you can see a little bit of a roadmap on what I need to do in order for a launch date. So currently I already have a prototype in place. It's in size 11. I have to set that pattern size from US 5 to US 12, and then I would need to buy the remaining assets that I need in terms of like machinery, tools, materials, and the website, right? Once that's done, we'll be able to prepare our upcycled leather to then launch on May 2024. As you can see, this is a one-man operation, right? My name is Sebastián Delgado, and I attended the shoe surgeon school in Los Angeles, where I learned how to make shoes, basically. I've been making shoes for 2 years now, and I often say that I consider myself a sneakerhead. I'm so much of a sneakerhead that I became a shoemaker, right? And if I'm being honest, Sharks, I would love to share this passion with you guys. My passion for design, footwear, and also share the impact that we could do on the environment, right? And that's why Doski Design Studio is asking for $25,000 for 10% in equity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, I think it's on all of our minds. I'm not just going to go and call it out. Have any sharks been hurt in the making of any of your shoes?
No sharks.
Okay.
Actually, we help the sharks because the shoes are not going to the oceans or anything,
I really appreciate that because I regenerate my teeth, but each time they come weaker and weaker. So I applaud you for the craft of making the shoes, but tell me how this scales because
Yes.
there's a lot of landfill potential that you're trying to eradicate, right? And certainly right now there's a big spotlight on what's called ESG, right? Environmental, social, and governance aspects, and obviously this falls into your environmental bucket, largely so. Tell me what you're doing to scale production, because, to be honest, 25K may not seem enough even to get the tooling, but I don't know about this. Tell me about that.
Of course. So right now, the 25K are in regards for me doing the shoes, right? Ideally, I would like to get a supplier in Mexico, in León, Guanajuato, where they can make the shoes. I've spoken to some of the suppliers, and they've told me that the minimum order basically is around 1,000 to 2,500 shoes. In my current stage of the company, I don't have 2,000 clients that I'll be selling my shoes to, so that's not the option for me right now. Currently, I do have $3,900 in assets because I've been buying machinery, tools, and all that. Actually, I have a prototype here of the shoes that I made that I would like to show you guys. And here you go.
Size 9.5, please.
It's 11, but
Oh, wow.
we can always talk later.
Might
But
fit.
so the shoe that you see, that you have in your hands, it's basically 100% made by myself, by my own brain. And what you see right there is how the end product will look like with the leather that's upcycled.
Well, first off, I think that this is, great. Your story and talking about how you came up with the idea. I'm from Juarez myself, so I know the pain. It'd be interesting if you could tell me a little bit more about how you're sourcing these,
Yes.
the materials.
So I partnered with a distribution center in El Paso called Midwest Textile. So far, I've bought a bag of 330 pounds of shoes, of secondhand shoes, that were going to be thrown into the landfill. These were shoes that were already torn and were damaged, so they didn't actually have a need with them. So I was able to step in and tell them, like, hey, am I able to buy these shoes from yourselves? And they provided those.
And so what's your cost of production versus the sale price that you're looking at?
Of course. So my cost of production for this shoe is $133. But it's important to think that this is for one single shoe. Right now, I only buy the materials that I need for a specific amount of shoes. If I buy in bulk, obviously that cost is going to go down. The retail price would be $300 with a profit margin of 55%.
I mean, because these are very healthy margins, right? I mean, I think you could have some interesting traction here. Wonder if you tried, yeah, go for it. Wonder if you tried a GoFundMe campaign?
I've been considering it, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, you could also go Kickstart, right, for kicks.
I like that.
I mean, I really like what you're doing, and I was going to suggest, because I know there are a number of recycling or quote-unquote secondhand aggregators in El Paso, and they ship the shoes overseas. A lot of times
Yes.
it's at a loss. You might even be able to bypass them and go straight to the brands. One question. If you were, like this one at the bottom says Nike, are there any patent issues that you have to do because you're recycling stuff, but you're still showing the brand?
So in this case, I did use an original Nike sole because I don't really have the connections yet to acquire plastic soles. But to answer your question, there's not really a problem with Nike and the big brands because once you take a product and reshape it, revamp it, it's not considered by them anymore. So currently there's actually two competitors that are both local in Europe. Helen Kirkham is one of the best designers that I've seen, but she does a similar thing to what I'm trying to do. And Peterson Stoop is also another competitor based in Europe.
What are their price points for the shoes?
So Helen Kirkham sells their shoes at 400 euros and Peterson Stoop from 250 to 600.
So even though they're refashioning it, do they still have it displayed as clearly like this, where it reads
Yes.
the name? Okay.
Have you looked at different molds? So I see that this mold is for Air Jordan 1. I know there's a couple companies that have gotten sued, I guess, for having just the silhouette being similar, not even identical, just being close to. Have you thought about how much a mold was going to cost you to create your own kind of silhouette? Or
So I've actually talked with suppliers in Mexico for the mold that is inside of the shoe. So that's called the last. The last is used in the final step of the shoe in order to make it look like a shoe, basically. But to answer your question, I'm sorry, can you repeat your question again?
so have you looked into like the price or the cost per mold?
Yes, they sell the last from 200 pesos to 600 depending on the type of shoe that you want.
And does that doesn't include any like designing or like creation of the actual?
No,
that
they-
just includes the materials, correct?
Yeah, they already have their set designs of lasts that I just go pick an order and then they'll ship it to me.
And I think maybe a personal question, but I mean, you're a doctor. I mean, you went to medical school. Are you thinking about are you doing this full time? Are you working? How are you supporting yourself?
Currently, I'm working, yes. I'm expected to graduate this December, and my goal would be to, once I graduate, work and do this at the same time.
I really love the sustainability factor, and there's a lot of investment around, things that can environmentally improve the world. My biggest question marks are around the scalability of it. So you said you were going to release 25 designs, is that right?
Yes.
How long does it take to make a pair?
It takes me to make a shoe 24 hours, but if we get the machines that I'm trying to look, that time will be reduced by, I expect like by 20% or so, and yeah.
To get to scale of 1,000 to 2,500 shoes, minimum order in Guanajuato, correct? What does that mean in terms of upfront cost or inventory that you need to, invest in
Yes.
to have that?
So initially, I would have to buy the bags to get the material, which is the secondhand shoes, right? 330 pounds goes around $60 for the whole bag. And then the ideal thing would be for me or like the company to focus on doing the leather and then shipping that leather to the supplier for them to make it. And as I said before, I mean, they had a minimum requirement of 1,000 to 2,000 shoes to order with them.
What does it cost you, say, per shoe at that point? What is your cost versus the 133?
Yes, I did the math and it was like $99 to $103, depending on which supplier I choose, right?
You're not saving a terrible amount of money versus you doing it's just time.
Yeah.
Scale, I mean, this is not a market that I know too well, but I do have a dear friend that's in this space. He's doing something similar, but with boots. So I'd definitely like to connect you with him. So you can learn more about what he's doing, because he's already scaling, so see how he's been doing that.
Isaac, Angelica, is this something that, I know this seems like, small minnowy, but, it could have a big impact.
I love the impact theme of it. I do think I need to understand more about the scalability of it and what it would take to get you to at a mass production state to really have significant revenues and margin.
I would like to, I have me myself, I guess, identify with you. I'm a sneakerhead at heart. Obviously way overpaying for shoes. I kind of cheated a little bit looking at the average price that people pay for shoes, and it turned out to be about $67. What's stopping someone from saying, yeah, this is environmentally friendly, but my wallet is gonna cry a little bit when I buy them?
That's a good question, actually. So our main target would be sneakerheads, and that would be basically it. So we're trying to target sneakerheads that already are into the culture, that identify on having a shoe that's one of a kind in a way. Because if you really think about it, there's not going to be any repetitive shoes in terms of this kind. Because every single time I'm going to get different types of pairs of shoes, different types of leather and colors. So no one's going to have a singular shoe as compared to the big brands.
I mean, for me, I'm not technically a sneakerhead, quite frankly. One challenge here is you need kind of in my opinion, you need a celebrity shark who's kind of a sneakerhead. Have you given that any thought? Have you targeted a particular celeb and said, let me ship you a pair of shoes in your size, just feature them or what have you?
I haven't shipped anything, but it's something that I've considered before. I mean, if we see the big companies, they usually go through that strategy, right?
Okay.
But yeah.
Sharks, what's the thinking here?
Yep. Definitely, I still have issues with scalability. There's something I would potentially pass, but would love to, to connect you with people that I know in the space, because it's one that I don't know as well.
It's a pass for me, but I would be happy to help promote should you do want to reach out to celebrities and on social media, help amplify that.
I think it's a great idea. I love it. I would personally buy something like this, but yeah, scalability is tough. A lot of capital is needed. So I would also like to connect you with some of the people I know, and maybe you guys can grow from there, but it would also be a pass from my end.
For me, I go around the ocean and I see a lot of stuff. Some stuff just might or might not pan out, but I'll still take a bite. So I'll personally commit $5,000 subject to you raising the rest of the money you need. Okay. And then let's sit down afterwards and strategize and think about, other sneakerheads we might know and ways that we could be supportive. And I'm willing to give one of these pairs of shoes a try myself.
Nice, for sure. Thank you. I mean, I'll be more than happy.
I like that. How about we go into this together?
Perfect. Awesome. All right. All right, we'll put together our fins and calculate some support on your road to 25K.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Started a straight feeding frenzy up here. You can applaud for that too. That's okay. Great job. Thank you so much, Sebastian. Now, please welcome our next presenter, NMSU alumni, Ruben Mena, founder of Yacht Notes.
Ladies and gentlemen, sharks, my name is Ruben Mena, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity today to discuss my startup, Yacht Notes. After graduating from NMSU, I went to the Principality of Monaco, and there I got my master's in luxury management, and soon afterwards, I worked in the yacht charter industry. What is a yacht charter? A yacht charter is when someone rents out a yacht. This is an extremely expensive industry, as yacht charters range from $15,000 all the way up to $3 million for just 1 week. So, who's who in yacht charters? You have the yacht owner or family office, and they'll go to a brokerage. The brokerage basically acts like a real estate agency. They will help them find charter guests to rent out that yacht. Lastly, you have the captain and the crew who work on the yacht itself. Many people assume that because this industry is so expensive, it must be very efficient. That couldn't be further from the truth. This is still a developing industry, and it has a huge communication problem. As you can see, communication is not centralized, and many modes of communication are being used, such as WhatsApp, email, and text messages. Let's multiply that times 5, and you can see how overwhelming things get for a brokerage. And this is just with 5 charters. Typically, they manage much more than that. Additionally, there aren't many people working for the yacht brokerage itself. Not to mention, this is an extremely high-stakes industry. With many live charters at once, it's easy to make mistakes because of bad communication. Let's say leaving a yacht toy at sea, forgetting to cancel a Michelin star restaurant, struggling to find new crew in the event of an emergency, or failing to provide good customer service are extremely expensive for the brokerages. So, what is the solution? The solution is the Yacht Notes platform, a one-stop communication platform which is destined to revolutionize the yacht charter industry. So, this is how the platform looks like. The platform is divided by charter, and the brokerages and other users will have everything they need in that section. So, in terms of features, we want to be a tool to standardize the yacht charter industry. And these features include on-demand charter guest requests, luxury event planning, yacht and destination tracking, enhanced CRM and CEM, and sensitive document storage. So, what sets us apart? Not only are we recognized in the Principality of Monaco, but we have set up a yachting network already. We are also pioneers in the United States, as yacht charter communication software is a blue ocean market. And lastly, unlike our competitors, we are integrating the charter guests into the software. So, in terms of market size, the yacht charter market is expected to explode as ultra-high net worth individuals are growing across the world. It's expected to reach $10.8 billion in 2027, and in 2021 alone, there were 2,900 yachts available for charter. Here you can see charter brokerages worldwide. This just represents a fraction of the charter brokerages that are out there. Here you can see that they're divided by yacht charter association. So we will be applying a direct business model. We will be selling to the brokerages, and then they will be enabling access to the users. Our annual subscription base price is $36,000. Here you can see our traction roadmap. You can see our minimum success criteria. We would be making $1 million in 3 years. Keep in mind, this is minimum success criteria with just 28 brokerages. That's just 6% of the brokerages you saw on the previous map. So here you have me. Here you have my tech partner, Mr. Manan Mehta. And here is our ask. We are asking for $100,000 for 7%. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Yacht Notes.
Well, Ruben, I mean, we like the water, but I've been bumped in the head by a few yachts in the past. What inspired you to do this? I mean, were you yachting around NMSU anytime?
No, well, I'm from the area originally. I was born in El Paso, but I grew up here in New Mexico. When I got my master's in Monaco, I had the opportunity to work in the yachting industry afterwards. And so it's when I worked in the yachting industry that I realized that there is a huge communication problem in this industry. And since this industry is still developing, there's a lot of room for growth. But the amazing thing about software is my business is located here in New Mexico. So I'm very proud of that. And the amazing thing about software is you can be located anywhere. Yeah.
When it comes to the problems you're solving, it sounds like there's multiple groups that it impacts, right?
Yes, exactly.
What is the sense of dollars that equates to in terms of the problem? What is it solving?
That's a very good question. So, for example, yacht brokerages, they're dealing with many requests from ultra-high net worth individuals that are very particular about how they want their yacht charter experience to be. And so I'll give you an example. If a yacht charter broker forgets to cancel a Michelin star restaurant, like I said in the presentation, that's already $500 gone because the restaurant will charge that. If the crew forget to leave a yacht charter toy out at sea, we're talking, from $10,000 all the way up to $50,000. It depends on the mistake made. But mistakes are common in the yachting industry because the demand is very high in terms of what the charter guests want. And so many professionals who work in the yachting industry are extremely overwhelmed because they don't have a communication system that allows them to efficiently deal with their tasks.
So I'd be interested in doing some market research with you.
Yes.
But no, if you could tell us a little bit about the sales cycle. Have you acquired any clients yet, or what does that look like?
Yes. I'll actually explain something really quickly, and I will get to your question, which entails customers and how we get those customers. So this year, we won the Mark Challenge in May in the Principality of Monaco. There were 120 contestants representing 50 nationalities, and we got first place. And we were scrutinized very heavily by yachting experts, private aviation experts, and so on. But because of this competition, we received a substantial amount of recognition. And that's very important in targeting those customers that you're speaking about. So right now, we do have yacht brokerages who are interested in using Yacht Notes because, like I said, they face a lot of communication problems. That being said, even if we were to give out this software for free, what we need to cover are the legal costs in terms of contracts because we are collecting data from ultra-high net worth individuals, from the brokerages themselves, and so on.
So tell me about private aviation, because in my mind, even though I love the ocean,
Right.
that's a really big market.
Yes.
Can you port a lot of what you presented to private aviation?
You can, and in fact, a lot of students from the International University of Monaco, they either go into private aviation or they go into yachting. I was one of the ones that went into yachting. Communication is it's different because the timelines are different. So a flight is a lot shorter, and it doesn't require as much customer service. Whereas if you have a client who will rent a yacht for 2 weeks, for example, they will tell you, okay, on these days I would like to eat this, these are the destinations I want to go to. It's very demanding. And so a lot of the time the crew feels that pressure as well. And that's something I would like to mention. So in terms of work scope, you will have the brokerage and you'll have the crew working on the yacht. And the communication between those two is extremely important because, like I said, the demands are very odd sometimes, so the teamwork is vital in order to implement a successful charter. But to answer your question, it could be implemented in private aviation, jet notes maybe, but the time scales would be different. So the nature of the software would have different features for sure.
Josh, what do you think? What are you thinking, Isaac?
I mean, first thing that comes to mind is how often does a yacht get chartered or?
Yes, no, that's a very good question. So I'll go back to the map. So here you can see yachts available for charter, 2,900 yachts. Keep in mind, every single one of those yachts is chartered multiple times per year. And, you know, the price to charter one of those yachts is extremely expensive. So, you know, it varies. It depends. If you have a 200-meter yacht and it costs $500,000 to charter for just 1 week, it's probably not going to be chartered as much as, let's say, a 50-meter yacht. So it depends on the size of the yacht. It also depends, you know, what yacht caters to what kind of customers.
So what yacht is chartered where humans fall overboard more often? Just asking for a friend.
Sorry?
What yacht is chartered where humans fall overboard more often? Just asking for a friend.
I'm not sure, but it's... Oh, somebody asked who our competitors are. So I will answer that question. Let me go to my competitor slide. Oh, I just missed it. Here we are. So in terms of charter communication software, like I said, it's a blue ocean market, and most of our competitors are startups. So here I put Floatist and Yacht Manager app, and you also have Aquatour Marine. One very important thing to note is that these applications primarily focus in Europe. But even if we were to compete with them in Europe, a big advantage that we have is our Monaco recognition. Because Monaco is the yachting capital of the world. So we're very thankful that we competed in the Mark Challenge. It was a lot of work, but it was very rewarding in the end.
Do you have any sense of the revenues of your competitors?
Not really, because they're startups. So this is very much a blue ocean market, and it's you know, very confidential information for them.
Do you know how much they've raised?
Actually, it's really interesting that you mentioned that, because we tried looking at, for example, Crunchbase and so on, but no, we weren't able to gather as much data as we would have liked. But one thing I will mention is, in the yachting world, most of the data comes from an organization called Boat International. And so they're the ones, they're basically the source of all yachting data that is out there.
Well, sharks, very interesting. I mean, it's in our backyard. But I personally don't know a lot of yacht operators. If I did, they're probably in my belly. But I do know one good friend of mine, Lou Sandoval, in Chicago, who is on the board of the yacht club there. And
Okay.
he himself owned and operated a major yacht dealership. So
Right.
I'd be happy to put you in touch with him.
Thank you
He is
very
avid about this industry and would certainly, if this is right up his alley, he'd be able to take a good bite.
Excellent, thank you very much.
I personally think that, if I took a dip, I'd probably get bit by another shark here. So I think I'm going to pass, but I do want to connect you with a couple of folks that I know that are tech executives that have a couple of yachts that might be interested in talking to you and learn more about the service.
Sure, thank you.
It's a pass for me. I'm concerned about the competitors in the space and just not having enough information on why they've also jumped into the ocean, and question marks around what they've raised or what they're charging and how much they're making. But I could support with connections on the legal side as
Sure. No, and I mean, the legal side is definitely something that we would like to work on. And just one point about my competitors, like I said, they're focusing a lot on the European market. And one thing that I do want to take advantage of in terms of Yacht Notes is the growing market, the growing yachting market in the United States, because that's growing very quickly. And so that's one of the other reasons why I'm very happy to be based in the United States.
I think it's a great, it's an awesome environment to be in, I guess. I don't know anything about yachts, personally. Just based off of the valuation and how much you're asking for, me, myself, and my fund that's not something that we would per se go into, but I would be happy to put you in contact with our father fund and see what the biggest shark, I guess, and see where it goes from there.
Yes.
Like I said, I love it. If I had the funds to go for it, I think it's something that I would look into for sure. But yeah.
No, and for any of you, we're pretty flexible right now, so in the future, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I won't hesitate to contact either of you either.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you again, Ruben. Okay, up next, we have NMSU MBA student Adriana Garcia, founder of Backlog.
Good afternoon. My name is Adriana Garcia, and I am a graduate student at New Mexico State University. Today, we're going to be talking about alcohol. So, show of hands, and sharks, please participate. How many of you have been to a large-scale event where, maybe it was a concert or a sports game where an intoxicated individual was present? Anybody? Yeah? Okay. Seeing lots of hands go up here. Okay, great. I'm going to show you a video now that was taken by someone at a Major League Baseball game this summer. And I want to warn our audience that the video may be graphic. Okay, so unfortunately, this is an incident that occurs all too often and we're all familiar with, right? I've had consumers tell me that they don't go to certain events because they're concerned for their safety, their children's safety, perhaps, maybe it ruined their experience, something like this happening. So where does the problem start here? Well, it starts at these large-scale venues. So from my market research, I've found that the biggest problems are, 1, there's underage drinking. 2, there is a lack of drink tracking mechanisms. And 3, there is an increased risk to the venues. So we can't really blame the venues, though, because they're currently using what's available to them. They have security guards to check IDs at the entrance, assist with unruly guests, and also stop altercations. However, as we've seen, this can be difficult to do in a large-scale setting. The servers and vendors also track drinks already, but by manually and also visually. And again, this can be difficult to do in a large-scale setting. Some places have a drink limit, and this could be 2 drinks per purchase. But what's to stop me from purchasing 6 drinks from 3 different bartenders in a short period of time? And finally, there's liquor liability insurance, which covers some things. So why now, you may ask? Well, did you know that liquor liability insurance does not cover serving to minors? Additionally, there is a minimum policy that venues are required to carry, which is only $1 million. Now, can you put a price on the value of a life? What about a family? I don't think so. Let me introduce you to Backlog, a radio frequency identification device that can be integrated at large-scale venues to mitigate the effects of alcohol overconsumption and overserving to customers. Backlog is the credit limit for drinking. The product will feature an ID verification scanner, and it only has to be scanned once upon entrance to the event. The software uses demographics that customers willingly provide when they purchase alcohol, such as their height, weight, and gender. This allows the software to better estimate the blood alcohol content of the users by creating a drink ledger that will track the purchase of the drinks that the user has bought. It will also feature a tap payment method that will streamline the purchase of drinks for consumers, and that way they can spend more time focusing on the event. So, how does the product work? Simple. You scan the barcoding on the ID upon entrance. You issue the RFID device that works best for the venue, and consumption is monitored. My product creates a unique value for the venues by increasing safety and reducing financial and overall risk to both their employees and their customers. My target customer will be large-scale venues with a capacity of at least 10,000. The software itself will generate 30,000 per year, and other revenue streams which are important to include will be an RFID device, an ID reader, and most importantly, aggregate data that can be sold. The market opportunity for this is remarkable. The event industry is booming post-pandemic, and I have the stats to prove it. If we just look at the market for venues with a 10K capacity, we can see that globally there's more than 2,200, and in the Southwest region alone, there's 81 stadiums. Based on my very conservative estimate, I would generate a yearly revenue of 60,000, and to reach $1 million, I need just 17 customers in a 3-year time period or sooner. My team is, currently I am the CEO and founder, Adriana Garcia of Backlog. I have Professor Kim Kerr here today in the audience. She is a professor in risk management and insurance, and she has almost 25 years of experience in the industry. I also have my legal advisor, Kevin Culver, who is alumni of NMSU, and I've also encouraged him to join Arrowhead. Today, I am asking for $75,000 for 10% equity. I want you guys to know that there are so many people who believe in this idea, and I need your help pushing me forward. My name is Adriana Garcia. Please feel free to follow me on LinkedIn to follow along on this incredible journey. Join me today in backing Backlog. Thank you.
Well, it's a tough one, for sharks to be tracked with RFID. That's a tough one. It's hard to put them on our fins.
Right.
But, I certainly applaud you for this effort. Very important endeavor. And I have some experience with RFID technology.
Okay.
Walk me through the cost of a wristband and the cost of software. Does $75K cover that?
Right, so let me pull up my appendix. So here's my revenue model. Right now, we're estimating that the wristbands will charge 25 cents. They're gonna cost me maybe 10 cents. It should generate a total revenue of 30,000. Now again, the wristband may be variable depending on what device is most usable at the venue. So maybe it's just a card, or maybe you're at a winery and it's a little bit easier to scale. So it's gonna depend. There's some venues that have apps as well where that can be integrated. My software really focuses on integrating it for what is best for the facility and making sure it's safe while maintaining revenue. The RFID reader, honestly, I went to several stadiums this summer, and most of them are already there. So that might not be a cost that the stadiums incur. And and then the software, it's $83.33 per day. And this is scaling it at a 10,000 capacity for if a venue just has one event per month. So how many venues do we know that have one? On average, a 10,000 capacity venue will hold 120 events per year.
Let other sharks nibble at this.
So I love the idea. I have questions around data. Data is my background. Do you have data on the amount of lawsuits that arise from people being intoxicated at venues?
So it's a little bit difficult to scale because, for example, in baseball is like my forte, which is kind of where I came up with this idea. It's a little difficult to scale because the Braves are the only publicly traded team. So those financials are difficult to find. In addition, it's most of the lawsuits that do get played out, we don't usually see the values because they settle out of court, but upwards towards the millions that this is costing different teams in different areas. And I'd like to point out that I had a meeting just this last week with Rob Bradford of WEI. He is a reporter for the Red Sox. And he is actually, this is at Orioles, Camden Yards for the Orioles. And he's actually secured me a meeting with an executive front office member in the Red Sox this following week. So I should be able to get more details on the financial aspect of that.
So this is a true lifesaver. I'm excited. I like what you're doing here. I have questions regarding, if you could tell us a little bit about, what's the percentage of revenue that these venues make out of alcohol sales?
Yeah, so that's going to vary per stadium. The liability that goes into it is going to vary on percentage of alcohol sales, how close they are to a school, perhaps, if they've had any past occurrences. But I will pull up some stats that I brought with me. So this is scalable in the sense of the NFL, all the NFL venues, domestically and internationally, they already have tracking systems within their stadium. So based on this projection, they were able to test their MVP technology with 17 venues in a 1-year time period. And again, I said mine was, on a very conservative estimate. So the technology is already there. It can be done. Right now, they're using it to track players and stats. I mean, they're everywhere. They're in the football And I believe, and I should find out more soon about, I imagine the same thing is for MLB.
One quick question, or two actually. What about any personal privacy concerns, right? From
Right.
an individual wearing a wristband? And the other thing is, I'm no expert on the vendor relationships between, let's say, a XYZ brand of beer, what have you, and getting into a contract with a baseball stadium.
Right.
My understanding is that vendors hold a lot of sway over the venue and the operators, so how do you manage that?
So I did speak with 2 different vending companies at the facility, and they have contracts, there's like subcontractors with MLB. But the problem is that the vendors on the outside of the stadium, or within the stadium, but on the street, they don't communicate with the vendors that are going up and down the stands. So really, again, like I said, my software is to integrate the communication between the two. And I actually asked that question, should I approach the vendors, instead of the stadiums? But there's already a relationship there where the stadium's going to dictate what the vendors are going to do, such as when they purchase a ticket, it might be in their policies is, hey, this is what we're going to do. It's already implemented at large-scale events such as Coachella. Not the tracking system, but the wristbands. So it's, in terms of privacy, they would be non-reusable, the wristbands, because we want to make sure that we clear the data. And they would also be tamper-proof. So they wouldn't come off until you exit the stadium and you have a staff member remove it. So we're trying to mitigate that as much as possible.
I really love the idea, again, more with the questions. I think more research needs to be done on the incentive for the venue to really give up those liquor sales, since that's what really drives their revenue. So I think more data around, if you can't find it around lawsuits, how many venues have had licenses revoked, just to get some sort of a sense of the financial impact that they're incurring as a result of overserving these people, and does that outweigh the dollars that they will lose if they start limiting the alcohol that they're selling?
Right, so if they're losing, so actually the commissioner of baseball said that because of the shortened game times, they shouldn't lose any money with revenue and in terms of concession sales. So if the argument is that they will lose money, then were they not overserving to begin with? Was it not a safety concern? The other thing is that alcohol, we all metabolize alcohol differently. So one shot of liquor for me is not going to be the same as one shot of liquor for a 250-pound man. So who's to say that they're not losing money by having a 2-drink limit? And that would help better estimate. And again, I want to pull up, this is already being done at stadiums, visually and manually by servers. I talked to them about it, but they didn't have a good solution as to, well, how does the third bartender know I just had 6 drinks? They didn't know. They didn't know the answer. We don't know. Well, we can kind of gauge by your eyes, but what if I just, slammed them really quickly? And the other thing is that I've partnered with the Nusenda FinTech Lab to help me get past the proof of concept phase. So I have some soft contracts in town where this can be implemented, but again, this would be at a smaller scale setting. But yeah, it would. I'm also in talks. I've had a pre-consultation with the NMSBA, the Small Business Association, in terms of national lab, experiment testing, and going that route.
I actually think that you could be using a different argument. I mean, if you're not able to find the legal, the lawsuit information, doing research into what a safer stadium could look like, what the impact could be for increased attendance. I mean, especially MLB, it doesn't have the, I don't know what the average attendance is, but I never see that. I never see a stadium that full.
So actually, the 2023 season, they had a +9 over 9% increase, and they had the largest year-over-year increase in attendance in 30 years this last year. So definitely reducing the speed time of the game is getting more people out and going and watching from home. The other thing is, we're really targeting a small percentage of customers that are gonna abuse the rules, right? For the most part, I think people they pay a lot of money to go to the stadium because they wanna have fun, they wanna enjoy the event. I love baseball. I also like to consume alcohol, but, so there's a give and take, I believe. Yeah.
Again, I think you're onto something really interesting, and I've been a part of a few different pitch contests at different universities where it is a real problem, even on bars close to universities, not just stadiums, so it's a real thing. My concern is, and New Mexico has a history in being very inventive with patenting things that read alcohol levels. So my concern is that there's already some technology out there or patents filed that you may or may not have already uncovered to really arrive at a clear path towards commercializing this. The other concern is I think you need, and I know Professor Kerr, she's phenomenal, expert in the insurance industry, no doubt. But you need something more on the kind of maybe MLB or AAA managers set or, vendor set or advisors in that sphere. So you get in my opinion, a more holistic view of that aspect. The technology is not hard to do. Right. I'm just concerned that there's already some patent out there that you either have to license or figure out to provide that linkage to do that reading. So for me, it would be a pass. Just that I think there's a lot of good work that still needs to take shape.
Just a quick question, really fast. With concerns of IDs, fake IDs, so how would you actually go about making sure the ID is real? Because as far as I know, this didn't come from me, but fake IDs, 1, scan, 2, you can put, so like, as far as I know, they have your allegedly, yes, great catch. They have a fake, you can put a fake weight, fake date of birth, obviously, fake like your gender per se. And these people are already breaking the rules. So what's stopping them from saying, yeah, I'm a 250-pound male, so give me 10 shots.
So currently, what I would be providing would be better than what is currently being done, which there's no scanning of IDs. If you go purchase alcohol across the street at the gas station, they'll do it. And I've talked to people and they said a fake ID won't scan. So again, it would have to be a very good fake ID for it to, come across the barcode. And again, if it does, we're still limiting it down to a small subset of people. The biggest thing is I spoke with vendors at the Oriole Stadium and they told me that's their biggest concern is underage drinking. So, yeah.
I would love to do a little bit more diligence on whether or not these fake IDs are good enough to scan. I think it's a great idea. So, yeah, just as long as I'm able to do some diligence, I would love to bring you into my team and have the whole team just look into it and possibly go about providing some funding for you.
Yeah, that would be great. That is really the part that I need to get past, is just proving that it is better than what's currently being done. And there is no drink tracking system that I'm aware of right now, especially when you have multiple alcohol vendors at a large-scale event.
For me, I'd love to have a follow-up conversation after you have that meeting that you have scheduled. I
Yes.
think getting more of those meetings on the books and really understanding the venue and vendor space more.
I agree.
And would love to support in a mentorship advisory way when you get to that point.
Okay, great, thank you.
And Margaret, I see that if this is a better mousetrap, and I see a big market here, not just U.S. I mean, especially in South America,
Right.
when it comes to soccer games. And the MLB, for example, I mean, following what they've been doing, they innovate quite a bit. So I actually, in terms of adopting the technology, I don't see that it's a huge leap for some of these leagues.
Right.
I think it probably has to do more with do a little bit more diligence on the cost, on
Right.
looking at on the margins, et cetera. So I'd like to continue the conversation with you and introduce you to. I know some folks that manage a platform. They manage all the let's say like the VIP seating at different venues and the largest venues in Mexico. So they manage, I think, about 100 of these venues. So probably gets also some information about other markets.
Yeah, and like I said, when this happened, this was all a week ago. So this has made a lot of traction. I believe that the Red Sox organization believes in me. They're willing to meet with me. And like I said, it's moving at a very rapid pace. So once I get some information about ballpark operations, costs, how many, liabilities they've had, of course, this isn't something that, teams want to discuss. It's not good PR for them. But as Rob Bradford said, teams like to be socially responsible. They like to be innovative. And the RFID technology, it's expected to reach 60 billion in 2026. So, a lot of people are investing. Thank you.
Thank you, and go Red Sox.
Yes, go Red Sox. Next year, next season. Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana. Okay, getting down to it, we only have 2 participants left. Please welcome UTEP alumni, Maximo Gomez, founder of AceMate.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here today. I'm Maximo, co-founder and CEO of AceMate, the next chapter in studying. There we go. Judges, audience, I'd like for you to give me a minute and think about your own personal college experience. It can be a late night studying for your exam. It can be a tailgate party you want to forget. It can even be, most important of all, where you sacrifice so much time and sleep for, graduation. It feels good to be rewarded for something you worked so hard for. But not everyone gets there. Actually, almost 7 million students nationwide drop out just in the United States alone. This is a big problem, because for each one of those students, it means more than that to them. For them, it's a loss in earnings, a loss in social mobility, and above all, a loss in dreams. And for universities, that's a big problem too. We're talking about $350 billion in unrealized tuition. Right after financial stress, the top 2 reasons that students drop out is because of academics pressure and managing life in university. The problem is, there's no specific good way for college students to find good study partners. Network connections are insufficient. You can't meet the entire university. There's 20,000 plus students. Time schedules are conflicting. Your friend working at 3 a.m. the graveyard shift is not going to wake up at 9 to study with you. And tutoring services are expensive. Remember when you were in college, eating ramen noodle soup for like a month? Yeah, it's kind of hard putting away cash just for studying. Here's what we're doing. We're adding a study partner 1 click away. The way we're doing this is we're matching you with your studying preferences. Match with someone you want, for the class you want, whenever you want. No more filling out when to meet or doodles or all those polls to find a time to meet. Just add your Google or Outlook calendar, and we'll find a time when you're both present and available to study for the class you want. Let's say you want to study for a specific class. We'll allow that too. Let's say you want to study for mathematics, or if you're a graduate student and you want to find someone that you can do research with, that works as well. Here's how it works. It's as simple as adding your classes. Once you've added your classes, you can select the class you want to study for. Once you select that, you can see the students that are available in those courses. In those courses, you can see the student that's either graduating the same year as you, that's either has the same minor as you, or just lives near you, and you can study with them because it's easier. And outside of that, you can study with other university students as well. You can see their information, and then choose who you want to study with. We allow easier communication through group chats that can either be class-oriented or invited, and you can have one-on-one conversations with students as well. For that specific partner you're getting those good study sessions with. And if you want better results, you can filter, either by background, what they're studying, what they're graduating. So you can even study with the same person for the next 4 years that graduates the same time as you and build that camaraderie that we all get at a university. This is huge for universities. For them, retention rates rise. Student performances increase. And above all, you build stronger communities. The way we're rolling this out is free to all students. Once we gather enough data to provide to the universities, we'll allow them to buy on a subscription based annually. Very similar to what you see in Canva, what you see in Blackboard, very similar to those services. We're looking at a base price around $25,000 for base, and then with custom data that they want, we can increase from there. Now, this is a growing market. During the pandemic, universities saw how much they lacked software that was covering for their students' needs. So this is a big wave that universities are now understanding. For remote students and for in-person, there's a lot of technological features that they're still missing. So we can still catch this. It's projected to be over $400 billion market by 2025. The market we're trying to approach right now specifically is public universities. That allows us to go after, on an annual basis, a $57 million market. If we were to go worldwide, it allows us to go upwards of 800. The way we stack against competition, we really want to focus on studying one-on-one specifically and in person. Above all, access and free. We've helped us continue with our traction as we have competed in hackathons that have allowed us to gain some non-dilutive cash. More recently, we participated in a pitch competition that was hosted by Inicio Ventures and Google for Startups and won some national fellowships as well. We're currently looking for $250,000 and it's safe with a 1.5 cap that allows us to expand and iterate on the product. Join our team with Jorge, who has many years of vast design experience, Eric, who's previously worked in computer science for Tesla and Uber, and myself, who graduated from UTEP, top 10 senior in engineering, that works in venture capital. And I want to invite all the students here to go ahead and scan the QR code and sign up today. Find your study partner.
Could this also be used for sharks to learn how to bite? Just asking for a friend.
I have to interview more sharks. I didn't do that.
I think this is great. You know, as someone who taught for a number of years, I know that especially when students were kind of new to a university or new to a course, it took a while for them to ramp up their study skills, especially if material was new. So I applaud you for building another platform that can help facilitate that. I'd like to hear what other sharks have to say.
I have a question, and maybe it just wasn't clear for me.
Yeah.
Are you trying to sell this to universities, or are you trying to sell this to the individual students?
Our current strategy is to give this free to the users first, for the students to see the results that they're getting. So when they study for the classes and we start seeing their improvement in grades, then we can go to the universities and tell them, hey, you have this customer segment in these students that are part of your body, and look how much more your entire student body would benefit with these added features to your already existing systems. And we are going after universities. But if there's an approach that we can go B2C, we're not denying that either.
I think that's a great approach. That way you're able to show universities what. So as is my understanding, I had another pitch last week actually, and universities' biggest issue is retention right now. Just because we have other options, you know, YouTube University is a thing now. Yeah. So a lot of people are going that way. But I think it's a great way to show the university itself, hey, this is how grades are improving, so students are more likely to stay within their studies and stay at the university. The only problem I see is competition. So just going based off of what we do here at NMSU, yeah. We have a app that we're basically forced to download called Navigate. That way we're able to see our class schedules and stuff, but they also have a feature called Study Buddy, yep. Which does pretty much the same thing. What differentiates you from someone like Navigate saying, we already have the students because we're forcing them to download this app. They're already on the platform, so therefore we already have the connectivity, so they're able to find each other easier. What's bringing a student saying, hey, I want to download this app instead of, I already have this app, you know?
Yeah, great question. So the same applies to Blackboard, Canva, all these universities that are already in multiple institutions around the nation. The thing is, we'll attack Study Buddy first. you can't really connect with other students around other universities unless, I mean, for example, if they have access to other institution data, which they're not happy usually sharing, what we're trying to approach is given the liberty of the student to select what is the best person fit for them to study, because as you say, it's forced, and Blackboard and Canva have these discussion boards and all these things that no one's really going to talk inside of them unless you force them or it's a grade. So as you said, the only reason you have it is because it's forced. The way we plan on protecting ourselves, by the time they start applying these features, we hope to already have gathered enough customers and institutions around the nation that we're already at a place where we've learned from the data they've provided and then apply that to our next features.
And so you're currently looking for students to subscribe for the free plan, right?
Right.
And there is a functional application of it right now?
So right now we have a waiting list. We are launching next week. So
Okay.
what will be available is for students to sign up. They can find people specifically for their one class. And then what we're doing is in the UT system, there's section codes that a specific classes match you with. So what we're going to do there is match you with those people. If it's an option for you, then you can go ahead and match with them in these study sessions. Right now, what we're aiming for is to have the students download it now and then see how they perform from here to the end of the semester and use that data to improve our model.
And the functionality that's going to be available when you release, does that include the calendar syncing? Because I know that's
No,
challenging.
that one's tough. So it's in our timeline.
Okay.
We can't be Calendly at the game, but we're just trying to facilitate the matching experience.
I would go the route of, instead of individual student to student, to look for a partner institution to pilot with you
Yep.
and have them do what you said is force students to use it.
Yeah.
If you can demonstrate the ROI to the institution
Right.
and maybe target those that have higher rates of dropouts.
Yep. And one of the approaches that we're taking for institutions right now is we're going after organizations, because organizations are really the students that are devoted to the university and are really trying to improve and see those results. So we are going to fraternity, sororities, engineering, business orgs, and deploying to them, because that's also where our connections are at. And new student orientations. Again, when you're a new student, you're a freshman, walking into your auditorium with 300 people, you don't know who you want to talk with. So those are some great advice that we're going to follow.
How many do you have signed up?
So right now we have 100 on our list, just because we just released it like 2 weeks for people to sign up.
You know, when I was teaching, I would get a ton of third-party applications emailing me and saying, Professor Payares, offer this to your students, they pay for it through their financial aid, or, you know, it's an added XYZ, it goes through the student bookstore process, and it's a $10 or $20 tag on, and so on and so forth. And I spent some time on the phone with these companies, and it's a long sales cycle, right? So, you know, that part's a challenge. You know, as a shark, I gotta swim a long distance to take a bite of this, you know, so what are you doing to address that, to try to, you know, short circuit that?
Yeah, so the reason it's such a long sales cycle and the reason you swim so much for that bite is because it's so tasty. Because these sales are very high. It's between 50 to 60,000 annually. So these software services aren't cheap for a student, but for the university, they have allowed budget for them to pursue these options. We do acknowledge that every university we start talking with, it's going to be a couple months before we seal that deal. But once we do, that gives us timeline and a runway to extend and pursue other universities.
I think in addition to sales cycle, gathering data, I mean, because right now you're launching mid-semester. You know, can you walk us through a little bit of expectations in terms of how you're going to gather that data, or if it's best to launch beginning of semester?
Yeah, so the first data that we're collecting is the one the student voluntarily when he signs up. So he tells us what classes they're in, they tell us when they're available, and then what they're studying and graduating. So that's all data that they input. It's as easy as a 2-minute sign up. After that, we ask them to input their current grades so that they can track their own progress. So what we want to see now is after the midterms, we want to see how they increase their grade, or if it lowers, we got to see what happened there, all the way until finals. That's our goal right now, launching mid-semester.
And I guess my other question related to that is, you know, I would imagine that, you know, you self-select, right? I mean, a lot of the students that want to do well or that are really focused on this, how are you thinking about attracting or getting to those students that typically don't get the good grades?
That's a great question because, I mean, no one wakes up saying, I want to study, you know? So the big thing is studying is a necessity for the results that they want. So just like when, you know, paying your mortgage is a necessity for getting the house you want, what we want here is to let them know the results that they'll be getting when doing this, and that if they go through this motion, it's something that not only do they improve their grades, but they get to meet lifelong friends and people that go beyond just your university lifetime career. And we do acknowledge too that there's a customer lifespan of 4 years per user. So right after that, we're hoping onboarding the freshmen every year. That's the goal.
And maybe just a thought, I mean, in terms of incentives, especially as you're starting off, like working with some of the merchants that work at the universities, right?
Yep.
Hey, you know, bring your grades up this percentage and you'll get a 5% discount or $5 discount on your next meal or something.
Yep.
Like thinking about those types of incentives early on could probably support and go a long way.
Got it? Yeah.
Sure, because I think it's time to figure out if we're going to take a bite of this or not.
For me, it's a pass, only because this is all too familiar to my space, which is in healthcare, and it's extraordinarily long sales cycles, and there are lots and layers of red tape, and because I don't understand the layers of red tape on your space, I wouldn't be able to advise or support.
Thank you.
For me, it would be a pass as well, but I would like for you to connect with another company team that I've met along the way. They are also in the business of trying to keep retention, so I think you guys would make a good team. Just based off of like acquiring customers, I'm not sure if the way you're going about it is maybe the best way. They're kind of doing it in a way that has helped them grow exponentially, and all you need to do as in terms of exit strategies, all you need to do is just be such a pain in the butt of these big companies such as Navigate that they say, hey, I'm willing to give you X amount just to see you leave, you know? So I think connecting with them and seeing what they're doing would be a good idea. And if you're open to the idea, I'd love to have you connect with them.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
of course.
For me, it's a pass more than, I mean, it's similar to Angelica in regards to the sales cycle. I mean, for me, I think that, you know, you still have some kinks to work out, and excited to see, you know, the initial data and coming back to that, you know, in a few months and revisiting.
Of course.
I think what you're hearing from us is we kind of need to see some blood in the water, right, for us to really get attracted to this opportunity. We know it's big, but, you know, we sharks don't have very good eyesight, right? We have to deal with other senses, and a little blood in the water will really go a long way to entice us. So we wish you luck and certainly keep us informed.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Great job, Maximo. Thank you. All right, next up is our final presenter, NMSU undergraduate student Frankie Montoya, founder of Montoya Industries.
Hello everyone, my name's Frankie, and today I want to talk with you about a very annoying and frustrating problem in video game controllers: analog stick drift. Yeah, some of you are already lit up with that one, huh? This is what it looks like. Maybe some of you can relate, yeah? Even my cat Taco here knows that there's something wrong with this controller right here. How many of you in this room play video games? Yeah, a decent amount of us. Okay, how many of you have had an issue that looks something like this on one of your video game controllers? Decent amount, but maybe something a little bit more relatable for this group. How many of you own a PC? Yeah? Have you ever had, oh, this has got to be more than that. You guys all own PCs, right? This is a modern generation. What are you talking about? There's more out there than that. How many of you have had an issue like this with a computer mouse before? Anyone? Oh, there's more than that. You know why I know there's more than that? Because all of us came from a generation where we suffered with this. Anybody remember one of these? Yeah. That's calling back a little bit of nostalgia for us, isn't it? A little bit of painful nostalgia, maybe? So the problem with this guy, even though those little balls are in the side are kind of fun to bounce and play around with, they have this thing called friction. And this friction that's on the inside of these would rub around on the inside of those sensors, and it would cause wear and tear, and it would create an issue that all of us are pretty familiar with called analog drift. But what can you do if something like this happens with one of your video game controllers? Huh? Well, you can reach out to the manufacturer for a warranty, can't you? Maybe. Let's talk about those warranties. Did you know that 3 out of 5 controllers develop analog stick drift within 1 year? Do you know that when you try and send in your controller to these manufacturers, that 1 out of 4 of those controllers that you try and initiate a claim with, only 4 out of 5 of those were actually going to be offered a repair. And let me tell you about those repairs. Those repairs are not always free. But what's even worse about that? It takes months for those controllers to be repaired and be sent back to you. This is a big issue. Every single major video game console company that's up there, this is all of them, by the way, has been sued for this reason. I've got bad news for you who own video game controllers. Your video game controllers are Chinese-made, overpriced consumer electronics. You know what happens when you take a look at the back of your PlayStation controller? It says made in China. Same with your Xbox controller. You know what's on the back of your Nintendo Switch Pro controller, though? It actually just says Nintendo. But if you look at it from Google, you'll actually find out that those too are also made in China. But if your controller has analog stick drift, is it something you can repair yourself? All right, so what do you really do? You go out and you buy a brand new controller, right? You spent $70 to $200 on that first controller. And now, it's only lasted you about a month, and you got to go back and buy another one. Ugh. That irks me. In case you missed it, this is the problem. There are no good options out there for video game controllers. But I've got some hope for you. I've got a solution. I'm going to create a service that effectively repairs analog stick drift in gaming controllers. My name is Frankie, and I'm a microelectronics and computer engineering student. I go to New Mexico State University here. I'm an electronics technician by trade. I got my degree from DACC firsthand. And right now, we're just a small little electronics repair shop. But here in the very near future, we're also developing products that are going to outlast our Chinese counterparts. This is the global market. There are over 500 million game consoles out there, which means that there are over 500 million controllers out there. Right? That's easy math. Did you know that there are over 300 people that search for analog stick drift repairs every single day? If that's any of you in this room, how many of you have found something? There's not much out there. It's a $110 billion industry, and it's growing by 7% annually. And it's something that I found that I want to capitalize on, so much that I developed a prototype, this is my prototype up here, that requires a lot less friction than those Chinese counterparts. What that means is it's going to last exponentially longer than those other products. This is my business model in a nutshell. I'm looking for $35 from anyone who wants to have this part that's going to last way longer than the original part. And that, by the way, is like half the price of a new controller. To be able to install both analog sticks and replace them and help your controllers last exponentially longer. I'm also charging $50 for Elite and Pro style controllers. And I think together, if you're willing to take a chance with me, we can change the game of the video game industry by tackling these analog sticks together. So, at this point, I'd like to turn my attention over to our friends over here and see if they have any questions for us. Oh, we're not friends yet? Stand over here a little bit then.
Well, congratulations, Frankie. You know, some sharks tend to play with their food for sure.
I play with mine.
We use different sensors for
something.
that, but you know, the price you have, 35 and 50, and then you have a 1 month, you know, extendable warranty. Tell me how you rationalize that vis-a-vis the 1 year manufacturer's warranty for a controller.
Oh, I apologize. I think we misunderstood each other. So what I'm trying to say is that those controllers, those original factory parts, are only lasting a month. That's as little as they can last. So there's a lot of people that have this problem. It's a pretty common problem. The biggest complaint is that they don't last very long at all.
Right.
And that's why those companies are being sued. Me? No. I haven't decided on what I'm going to offer as a warranty. I think it would be fair to even offer a 1 year warranty or even longer. I think what's more on the table right now for me is what's palatable as far as like a cost to income ratio. It costs me about $5 to $6, somewhere in that range, to make 2 analog stick controllers that are going to have this capability. And while those parts can last anywhere up to a year, I think that's intended. That's what these consoles' goal is, by the way, is about a year. That's why that warranty is about a year, is because they kind of expect that. I'm expecting that my part's going to last about 10 years.
How much are you raising
How much am I raising?
in terms of investment?
Oh, this is my first. Yeah.
Okay. So,
Oh, are you asking me how much I want for my business?
yes.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, I apologize. I understand what you're saying now. That was my fault, not your fault. Hang on, I've been, shit. There's a lot here, by the way. I was hoping that this question would come up later, just so you know. I'm looking for $75,000.
Okay.
And for $75,000, what I want to do with that, and I'm going to wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit with this one, because I think I've got 2 options. Like I said, I'm an electronics technician right now. I'm doing a lot of business to customer. In the future, though, I'm trying to move this and scale this up to business to business. That's why I kind of wanted to go through the other slides a little bit more. But anyways, so these are my absolute needs. I need about $30,000. That's for professional equipment. That's for me to develop some product and inventory. And that's also for me to have a little bit of a capital and a little bit of buffer for savings. And, you know, as you might imagine, it'd be kind of rough to start a business adventure and not have a little bit to fall back on and then suddenly go bankrupt. That wouldn't be good business. But, sorry, it's, I know you're sharks, but it's safe, I promise. I'm organized. I don't know if you know this. My friends and family who know me pretty well, I think I developed a little bit of a reputation.
Analog business plan. I love it.
Yeah, a little bit. This is more of an itemized budget of what I'm looking for and why I'm looking for. So, all right, yeah, $30,000 from a business to customer venture, right? But I don't want to stop there. I want to scale this up. I mean, you know, this is kind of why we're here, isn't it? I want to take this product and put it into every single factory that's out there. Well, not factory, a repair shop that's out there. Electronics repair shops. I want to scale this up. I want to take this product. And I know that there's more than just electronics repair shops out there. Have you guys ever thought about medical? How fun would it be if somebody has like the surgical thing that's inside of you and then all of a sudden that starts developing analog drift and they're like trying to do surgery? That would be phew. I like my heart. Sharks like their hearts too.
Boy, a lot to chew on.
Yeah, a little bit. I know, I just gave you a whole list. I mean, that's probably my biggest like pet peeves amongst my friends. It's like, man, this guy's always like putting out way too much information. And
So you're asking for 75K for what percentage of the business?
no, that's mean. You guys deserve a better cut than that, right? I'm looking for 10% equity.
Right.
Is that a little bit better?
So wondering, I think I have a lot of questions, but one a lot of, but maybe start off with, you know, how big is the market in terms of fixing these controllers or finding better solutions?
It's a $110 billion market, and it's growing by 7% annually. And the reason why it's so big is because of that reason that is there. People who have heart surgery don't want instruments sorry, it's this thing, I promise. They don't want instruments like moving around inside of them and stuff like that. I mean, as far as the electronics, all right, I mentioned I went to the ACC. I'm going to go back here. I know, so many slides.
I hope that controller doesn't give out.
Yeah, I kind of do too. That would be very inconvenient. This is me, by the way. I went up there to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I got certified and trained by the best in the business with a $10,000 training from NASA and from Honeywell, from Sandia Labs, all these really big engineering companies. They were willing to invest in me to go up to this school up here and learn how to solder to space grade levels. And the reason why I say that's a $110 billion industry and why it's potentially so profitable is because for that little certificate right there, suddenly my time is worth a lot because there are people whose lives are at stake, and there is a level of quality soldering that needs to happen in order for those products to be passed. And people are willing to pay money for that, right? I mean, again, once you say that there's lives at stake, military, hospitals, space, aeronautics, everything. These really big engineering firms are willing to pay big money. I mean, I'm just a college student. Let's be honest here. I have to eat off of ramen every now and then, right? But these guys here, because they knew that I had an opportunity and they knew that I was willing and so passionate about this, just dropped $10,000 on me so that way I can go and get this degree, so that way I can go and do more in the market. I don't know, I'm also doing an internship for NASA right now. And in that internship, one of the things that I'm doing is I'm designing an entire satellite for all the electronics, basically. And what I'm doing there, they're not paying me much at all. They're probably making so much money off of me. I mean, geez Louise. But it's okay. Why? Because I'm getting experience, and they're able to use that and integrate it into what they're doing. And man, it's amazing. I'm going to launch this little satellite that's going to go into space and go a little orbit and come crashing down to Earth. Pretty fantastic. But anyways, they're willing to pay a lot of money, and I think in general, it's scalable, easily. A small little analog part, you might not think about it as being much, but in the right places where it matters and you can't afford to have a little bit of sway here and there, it starts mattering a lot.
My challenge, you ever heard or know what an anglerfish is?
Yeah, I'm very familiar. They're ugly. They got the little...
Yeah, it's the one that has like a little light bulb.
Yeah,
right?
I'm more afraid of those than sharks, by the way. So,
well, those are pretty scary, right?
Yeah, they're insanely scary. I agree.
So, that's the fish's marketing,
Sure.
the little light bulb. I don't see any marketing budget here. I mean, are you going to go on a lecture circuit to tell people about this product? How are you going to market this?
No, that's fair. Right now, I'm a college student. Let's be real, right? I've got about 2 years before I'm really going to be able to hit the traction roadmap of trying to go and really tackle other businesses. I am looking, like I said, for that minimum $30,000 because I need to build into my community. This is my home. This is where I live. This is where I belong. This is where I want to take my business, grow it, scale it. Someday, maybe build like a PCB industry. I want this to grow here. So, marketing, I don't think I need much of it right now because there are a number of people in this audience who know me. If you Google search Montoya Industries, I've got 5-star reviews all over the place. And I don't advertise much because I don't really have to. Because the people that experience my service, imagine getting a NASA level soldering specialist to work on your video game controller. They're going to be pretty happy about that, right? That's pretty good, return on investment value. Am I wrong? Come on. Someday, marketing, I think. All right, let me put it this way. This is a funding round, right? It's not going to be the only one. Someday in the future, when we need that marketing, let's come back to that.
So some clarifying questions. You said the $110 billion market, was that the gaming industry or that specifically these replacement?
No, but the gaming industry is pretty big. There's 500 million game consoles that have been sold. So it's not a small market, but it's the electronics repair and equipment market. So Honeywell, Jacobs, NASA. You know what's kind of going on right now? There are a lot of electrical engineers that are going into the industry, but I don't know if you know electrical engineers, they're all theory. They know a lot of math. I have to take Calc 3 and vector stuff. It's ugly. But while we know a lot of theory, where there's a large gap with electrical engineers is there's not always a lot of space for the technician side of things. That's where it really needed. That's why it's such a big industry, because they're able to pay these people who do know insane amounts of money, and they're overworked because they're trying to go in and tackle these jobs. But again, I'm not trying to stay business to customer. I'm trying to escalate eventually.
Maybe a question of, sure. I mean, if NASA offered you a job tomorrow when you're done, would you take that job, or are you thinking of doing this, as a hobby?
So right now it is a hobby, right? I'll be honest with you. I started this off as a side hustle because I never anticipated that I was ever going to escalate it. But let me tell you this. I started off working with electronics controllers. This has been like a little fun thing. It's been insanely fun for me to work on this stuff. It has. I mean, hopefully you guys can tell. But it doesn't have to stay here. I don't know, have you ever do you own a refrigerator, right? So if you look at your refrigerator, it says General Electric on it. Those guys also make machine guns for the military, right? If you take a look at Honeywell, Honeywell is a really big engineering firm. They make the thermostats that are inside of our church. If you look at our church wall, they all say Honeywell, but they also make these insane high budget defense systems for the United States. What I want to do is I want to start pulling along my electrical engineering friends, my aeronautics friends, aerospace. These other these other engineers that are friends of mine, and I'm already there. I'm there at NMSU. We're all friends. They know me. They talk about this. We talk about sometimes coming on board. We joke around about it, but there is potential here. If we start an engineering firm and we're able to grow this, and I do get funded, and I can hire an employee, that's one of those little tick marks, by the way. There's one for an employee. I don't know if you guys saw that. It's there. I can pull somebody alongside me.
Amazing stuff. For me as a shark, you're more in the space realm that you are in the ocean, where I'm more comfortable.
Sure.
So it'll be a pass for me right now, but I love your zeal, your passion, you bring your full personality, and that's amazing.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Polaris.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other sharks?
It would also be a pass for me, just because I think so whenever I look at something, it's how good is that dollar that you're bringing me. You're fixing people's issues, yes, but how often are they going to come back to me? That's a bigger question. So just based on that, I don't think it would be something that I would go towards, but I wish you luck, and it's a great product.
Great, thank you.
Of course.
It's a pass for me. I agree, you bring star presentation power, so I think you get an A+ for that. I really think it's a great opportunity worth exploring more, but given that, understandably, your next 2 years, you're committed to finishing school and that's your priority, I almost wonder if it wouldn't be worth exploring getting a co-founder who is immersed in the space and who would hit the ground and be, making all the connections. And it seems like there's real opportunity there, but it's going to require more dedication to vet that.
Thank you.
So first off, great passion. I really appreciate that, and you bring this forward to us, and that you're doing it. I mean, I think that's great that you're getting educated and getting all this skill set. 2 things for me. It's a pass, but I'd say 2 reasons. One is I would be looking for more focus. I mean, right now you're talking about a lot of different industries, maybe focusing on one and trying to really own and understanding the real problem to be solved there. And second, I would just like to, encourage you to think about a co-founder for sure, especially someone that, I see you being a very charismatic founder, but someone that can, focus on the business development side, on really building those relationships with some of these bigger vendors.
Great. Well, thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wonderful job, Frankie. Thank you, and thank you to all of our presenters today. Let's hear for all of our contestants. All right. Now, it is time for our sharks to select their favorite venture. While the sharks vote, I want to ask you, our audience, to select your favorite student entrepreneur. As seen above, any moment, there it is. You can scan this QR code, and you can select your favorite student entrepreneur. You can also find this QR code in your program. Maybe you already have. As a reminder, the Shark Favorite Award will receive $5,000, and the winner of the Crowd Favorite Award will win $1,000. Their fate is in your hands, so sink or swim. While our sharks deliberate, let's begin to welcome back our student entrepreneurs. Big round of applause for Miguel Rico. Miguel is actively working on creating a marketplace for the tattoo community, connecting artists with customers to fulfill their dreams through Tattoo Inc. Next up, we have Sebastian Delgado. An eco-conscious shoe designer and entrepreneur who specializes in using recycled shoes and upcycled materials to create sustainable footwear through Doski Design Studios. Ruben Mena is up next. Working on enhancing the communication issues in the luxurious yachting industry through the creation of a one-stop communication platform, Yacht Notes. Then we have Adriana Garcia. She aims to create a technology for sporting events to monitor alcohol consumption, improving safety and accountability for servers, customers, and venues with the creation of Backlog. Then we have Maximo Gomez. Aiming to unite students and foster vibrant learning communities through his innovative platform, AceMate, dedicated to helping students find the perfect study partner. And Frankie Montoya. Offering a service solution for small electronic repair shops, tackling analog stick drift and video game controllers through mechanical and electrical approaches with Montoya Industries. And I feel a little called out considering how many times I purchased new controllers instead of trying to fix them myself. And of course, we also want to thank our sharks. Beto, Isaac, Angelica, and Alejandro. Got some wonderful gift bags. I don't know if it's, shark safe snacks or anything like that. They look a little too clean to be chum buckets.
So long as it's not shark jerky, we're good.
So, Beto, I got to ask, how did you like the presentations today?
I love the level of creativity that exists in the region, both at UTEP and certainly at NMSU. I'm seeing lots of collaboration taking place. I'm seeing professors being involved, helping students, advisors, and of course the work that Arrowhead does every year. And so we're really happy to be a part of it, and certainly glad that we have wonderful support from the community, including the Hunt Family Foundation.
I agree. I know how long they've worked on this, like weeks upon weeks upon weeks, a massive chunk of their year. And it's just mad impressive. You've all done great work and you should be proud. Now, Isaac, I got to ask, do you have one piece of advice that you'd like to share with any budding entrepreneurs in the audience today?
Have a good vision, I guess, would be probably the biggest piece of advice I could give somebody, me myself being someone that also has started several companies, having a good vision and knowing exactly where you're going and not detouring from there is probably the best thing you can do.
Great advice. Thank you for sharing. And Angelica, I want to know, how are you enjoying your first Aggie Shark Tank?
It was a blast. I was not prepared for the level of puns related to fish, and it's so jawsome.
The most jawsome.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not my first rodeo, and I'm still not prepared. And Alejandro, do you have a favorite moment from today that you'd like to share?
Yes, actually, really enjoyed Montoya Industries sharing, and telling us all about the different industries that I didn't know about. But more than anything, seeing all the faces here. I mean, it seems that we have a very vibrant and growing entrepreneurial ecosystem, and hopefully this will be something that will inspire a lot of future entrepreneurs. And it seems so. I mean, I've been following Aggie Shark Tank for a few years, and the companies that are coming out from here, they're really interesting, exciting. So hope we'll have some more.
It never ends. Yeah. Well, thank you again to our sharks for their valuable advice and their expertise. And one more time, let's hear it for our sharks. Let's also hear it for our presenters. Thank you for all the hard work that you've done preparing for this year's event. We also have to thank the Arrowhead Center and NMSU staff. It's a lot of work putting on this event. I see them behind the stage. They really give it their all. And a special thanks to the Hunt Center for Entrepreneurship for their sponsorship of the Aggie Shark Tank and all of the Arrowhead programs. And keep it going, because thank you all for joining us today. Okay, it appears the votes are in. Shoot, there's people everywhere. I'm going to go over here. No peeking. Okay, they're in. They're in. Do we have comically large checks at the ready? I believe we do. I believe we do. Okay. The Crowd Favorite Award, your votes are in, goes to Miguel Rico, Tattoo Inc. As a $1,000 prize. Congratulations. Thank you all for your participation and for voting. All right, now Sharks, let's see what it is. Shark Favorite Award and $5,000 is going to Adriana Garcia with Backlog. Congratulations. I still don't know what bank you can take these to cash them. Oh no. That's Luckily the digestion is very slow, I'm told, in sharks. So we've got time to salvage it. Well, wonderful. Thank you again, everyone. Please stick around to meet the students and have some refreshments out in the lobby. Make sure to take a selfie with Mark the Shark. And you got to use the hashtag Aggie Shark Tank when you do that. Use it on social media. Thank you again. Have a great night, everyone.